Hello, and welcome to the Go Read Some Books podcast. I'm Shane Skelton along with Josh Fillmore.
Hello, hello.
Today we're talking about books.
Lots of books.
Books. Now, the question I want to ask you before we get started, are you spiritually worn down, tired? Are you so burdened down that it's hard to even get out of bed in the morning?
Been there.
If you're worn out and tired, there's no doubt you need some rest and rejuvenation physically, but also you need an infusion of power in the soul. So if that's you, I want to show you a book that'll be a great help to you in your time of need.
Cool. All right, here we go.
Well, good morning, Josh. It's a little early for us today,
It is,
isn't it?
yes. Very early.
I tell you what, I had a late night last night, and I guess you did as well. And
Yeah.
So
Working, by the way.
yeah. And now, yeah, me too. And now early morning, it's almost too early to be doing some of this.
Yeah.
I rode in on my motorcycle today, and there's a little nip in the air.
Yeah. I think tomorrow, for all you northerners up there, I think tomorrow is high as 83.
Yeah. But when I
Lows
say
like
nip in the air,
yeah.
I'm not saying it was
Yeah. But that was
really,
where I was
really
getting.
cold.
Our cold nip is, I think, 65. I think is what we're looking at lows.
Yeah, it felt good standing there, but then when I started to go down the road at speed limit, it's a little chilly out here.
Awesome.
I enjoyed my motorcycle, though.
Yep.
Yeah, you rode, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, many moons ago, I rode. Yeah, a lot of time. Went to Sturgis, the whole 9 yards. Took that 2,000 mile trip.
I'm a Harley man myself. Actually, I'm for anybody on two wheels. I'm for the open road.
There you go.
I give the old Rice Rocket guys a hard time, but I'm for anything that's two wheels and freedom. I love it.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. All right. Well, this morning we're going to talk to you about a book that I found very helpful. It's called The Strength You Need. It is the 12 great strength passages of the Bible, and it is written by Robert J. Morgan. Now, Robert Morgan is the teaching pastor of the Donaldson Fellowship in Nashville, Tennessee. Been there about 35 years. He is an author of some best-selling books. I think he's a gold medallion winner as well. I think he's written over 30 books, I think, something like that. Yeah, he's got a lot out there in print. Let me give you the background, Morgan, a little bit before we get into the book to kind of set the stage to help you understand where he's writing from and coming from. But his wife, Katrina, has MS, and he goes into some detail a little bit about that in the book. She's confined to a wheelchair and been confined for a lot of years. And he's the main caregiver. He has some help that comes in, but primarily he's the main caregiver, as well as being the pastor of a large church. And he keeps a field itinerary where he travels all over the United States and really all over the world preaching and speaking. So he knows what it means to be wore out, and he knows what it's like to need some spiritual strength. Now, a little bit of the background of why this book is so special to me is the fact that I received it earlier in the year when we were going through some issues with my wife and her health. And she was having some struggles there, and we went to a lot of doctors, and there's some decisions, and it was a roller coaster ride. You know, one doctor would take us and give us good news and take us to the height, and then the next doctor give us bad news and go down, and so it was just an emotional roller coaster. And I had reached a place where, just to be honest with you, I was out of gas spiritually speaking. I mean, just wore slam out. When you have physical issues and physical problems, it's almost like the world kind of closes in on you, and that becomes your focus, you know, especially when it's somebody that you love. And then you have to keep up with your normal daily task. The kids still need to be schooled, and the bills still need to be paid, and you still have to study to minister to people. There's funerals to do, there's weddings to do, there's people to see in the hospital, there's things. Yeah, so you have your schedule that still goes on, which is large in itself. But then when you add in physical situations and problems and issues, well, that tends to really drain you of your strength.
Yeah.
But when I read this book, I'd read it alongside my Bible. And when I did that, it caused me to realize the great strength that's available to me as a Christian. And it was a timely book for me at that time. And so I want to review it today as a book that I really love.
Well, it sounds like that book I could have used when I got sick, because as you know, I dealt.
Oh, that's true.
I dealt with a really everything that you just said. I know exactly firsthand experience what that's like, because of course I when I got sick with ulcerative colitis, that pretty much put a whooping on my life. And of course,
you were sick
thing,
for a long time.
11 years.
Yeah, long time.
And so it was really, I got into a really, really, really bad place there for a while. Really dark, to where there was some thoughts that maybe I shouldn't be here anymore.
Wow.
Kind of a deal. And it, like you said, and the problem is everything closes in.
It does.
You just feel like you're the only one. I know that's cliche to say, but that you're the only one that has this problem, and nobody understands, and that it just keeps mulling over and mulling over. And I know that's Satan's weapon. He likes to be able to use you in those those weak times to be able to just really destroy everything. And knock on wood and thank the Lord that I was a specialist was put in my life to be able to get me straightened back out. But that sounds like a book that I probably could have used at that point in time.
And it's not only then, but for now, even in your life, even though you've come through that, this book is not just for those that are having physical problems, but it is just for strength to live the Christian life as well. But you're right. When you have physical problems, I'm telling you, it's almost like the walls start closing in on you, like a pebble in your shoe. That's all you focus on.
Right.
And your world narrows down, and you just get wore out with that after a while. And so this book really, really helped me in that season of my life. And what he did is he reviewed 232 different occurrences in the Bible where it talks about strength or strengthening. And he chose 12 of those passages, and he concentrated on those 12 in this book. And he goes to explore areas such as lifelong strength, the strength we need to sustain us through life. He talks about imparted strength, when you need that strength at a particular moment to accomplish a task in front of you. Tranquil strength, the strength just to slow down. That takes strength.
Right.
Because for me as a pastor, vacations don't start to at least 3 weeks in,
Right.
And you never get that long.
Right.
It takes you that long to get your mind to slow down and to stop and to be in a spirit of peace and quietness. So he talks about the innermost strength as well. And so there's different chapters in here that I think can help you in not just the sickness of your life or those different, but really all the different steps of your life that you need strength. He begins the book with a life metaphor and all preachers, I think, they love illustrations, so we love illustrations, and he does the same. He gives a life metaphor and an illustration of Tylenol. And he said that you have like regular strength Tylenol. Regular strength Tylenol is, that's just for the small issues that you're experiencing. But then you have extra strength Tylenol. Extra strength Tylenol is for the things that are more severe in your life. And we have daily grace. There's no doubt about that. We have daily strength. Sufficient is the day. The Bible said the evil of the day, so your strength is sufficient during that time. So you have like regular grace throughout the day, regular strength that you need. But then there are other things that come into your life that you need extra strength. It's more severe, and it's more difficult to handle. So you need that extra strength Tylenol or that extra strength spiritual passage. And so these passages that he deals with are the extra strength passages in your life that are more severe and are more complicated, that you need an infusion of God's power in your life and in your soul to get through it. And this is something that I've learned. We talked about it earlier, that when you are physically exhausted, sometimes if we don't understand where we are physically, we allow that to turn into a spiritual problem. And the devil knows our weaknesses, and he will exploit that. So when the walls start coming in on and closing in on you, like you were talking about a while ago in your life and in mine as well, we begin to think that God has abandoned us. This situation's in my life because of maybe a sin problem, or God is against me. There are a host of lies that the devil will tell you, when the facts are things come in our life because we live in a sin-fallen world.
Right.
And we shouldn't blame God. We should blame Adam. The sorry fella. It's his fault. It's not God's fault.
Right.
We live in a world, and we're not promised physical healings. We're not promised peaches and cream and roses all of our life. That's in eternity. That's tomorrow. That's not today. For the child of God, we still live in a world that has sicknesses and death and diseases, and we fight cancer just like the world fights cancer, and we fight addictions just like the world fights addiction. We have problems just like everybody else has problems, and so we have to deal with that. But when the walls close in on you, instead of blaming God, let's look to the Scriptures. Let's turn to the Scriptures, and especially the strength passages, to get us through those more difficult days. I don't know how you are, but I know how I am. I want to finish my Christian life. I want to finish it well. I want to serve God to the day I die. And I want to be more tenacious to persevere. I don't want to quit. I don't want to be deterred by the plan God has for my life. I want to be fortified against temptation and against intimidation. I want to press on and finish out my race with joy. I want to serve God who strengthens me, but that requires a strength that is not mine. It requires a strength that is of God. And Paul said this, which is a command, by the way. He said, "Be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might." And so when you read this book alongside your Bible, it helps you to understand how you can be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. So it's a great book. I encourage everybody to get it and read it, no matter what season of life you're in. It could be you could be on the mountaintop, but you know as well as I do, the valley's coming.
Yep.
There's
always the other side to that mountain.
I mean, the sun is shining now, but tomorrow it may not be. So there's seasons of life. So don't think just because everything's going well in your life that you don't need to read this book. I literally think that no matter what stage you were in, it's a good book to read.
Now, it sounds like that book can actually piggyback pretty well with the book that we just did last episode.
And that's why I've done it together.
I was going to say, because it sounds like that would go hand in hand with that. And by the way, we did actually find the hardback copy on Amazon. So the link to that's in the show notes of our last podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you click right up here above my head here, you'll be able to get that link to be able to go to that podcast. But I really enjoy, that's probably, I'm going to say it again, that's probably what I'm going to buy and actually read.
There you go. Hey,
so I'm building the library.
I'm making progress with you.
I did actually buy the last one. So
man,
it was like $4. I mean, it was really pretty cheap.
Yeah, very, very small book to read. It's more, like I said last week, it's a periodical more than it is a book, but it's powerful.
Yeah, and like I said, it looks like it'll partner pretty well with that book. So.
It will. The Strength You Need, the 12 Great Strength Passages of the Bible by Robert J. Morgan. I believe you can be stronger spiritually than you are now, and these 12 biblical passages can help you see that in.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for today. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Go read some books.
Go read some books. All right. Again, we have a podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, there is an actual audio version of this on a podcast. iTunes, Spotify, your favorite app, we're there. If you are listening from podcast, well, we got a YouTube channel as well. Go read some books, and you can watch us actually talking, not really live, but recorded. If you are looking for the show notes, our website's all caught up now. All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so go readsomebooks.com. You can get the show notes that we're actually using for the episode. You can also get the links to the books and a couple of our social links and whatever, because we are on social media as well, too. So
perfect.
If you know anybody that likes books, wants to hear more about better books, please share our podcast and our links. That way it helps us be able to get found to more people, and we can share the gospel to more people as well. That's the idea.
Lead better lives by reading better books.
You got it. Well, that's it. Anything else you want to add, or you're all done?
I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. Well, as always, God bless, and we'll see you guys next week.
Take care.